everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bookmas. Today's video is going to be so fun, a nice little palette cleanser in between all of the other book content. The other day I asked on Instagram what you guys wanted to see for Bookmas, and someone suggested the makeup and book tag, which I had never heard of. Basically, I am going to be doing a get ready with me style video and answering questions along the way, but each question will be bookish, but it will also correlate with the step of my makeup. For example, the very first question is for primer, and it's a book that left a lasting impression on me. So I thought this one would be really fun. When I first started out on YouTube years and years ago, I used to only do makeup tutorials, and now it feels like I only do book videos. So this is like a little happy medium, although my setup is a little wonky. It is so dark and rainy outside. I have like a single ring light. So hopefully it doesn't look too crazy, but I am just going to hop right in. I made a little chai latte this morning, so I'm ready to go. Before we get started, I'm going to prep my skin first. I just got back from Arizona and my skin has been so dehydrated. It just sucked the life out of my skin. It's crazy. I've been really liking this moisturizer from Lawless. It's hydrating, plumping, and smoothing. I just feel like it is such a good base for makeup. It makes my skin so like poreless. Sunscreen. Finally, primer. I swear by this stuff. This is the Grown Alchemist Anti-Pollution Primer, but it has like a silicone-y texture, so I always put it on areas where I have like larger pores or more texture to my skin. First question, a book that made a lasting impression on me. And for this year's books, I really want to say Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. It's one that I have talked non-stop about since I read it. It was one of those books where as I was reading it and once I finished it, I was like, this book was written specifically with me in mind. There was just so much in that story that I found so relatable, especially for a period of time in my life. It covers a lot of mental health, falling for a boy that is just like half in, half out, and being like a chronic people pleaser, always putting everyone else and their needs above your own. It's one of my all-time favorite books. It makes me cry. I think that is one that will stick with me for a really long time. Next up, foundation. I don't really know what color I am right now. I'm gonna use my Born This Way shade. This is in the shade Ivory. This one is favorite first book in a series, and honestly this one's tough because I don't read a lot of series. Actually, I think this shade might be okay. The first book that comes to mind is One of Us is Lying. I believe that one is a trilogy, and I have to say the first one is my favorite still. That one is a YA novel, and it's a little cheesy, but I really enjoyed it. Next, we have Concealer, and this is a book that you would erase from your memory. Right now, I am really loving the Tower 28 concealer. It is so good. It's very like full coverage. A little goes a long way. The last book that I can think of that I would erase is The Horoscope Writer by Ash Bishop. This is one that we read in my book club. It was just a flop. I think most of the other girls DNF'd it, but I finished that thing and it just, there was no redeeming qualities to it. It was very cheesy, like Scooby-Doo-esque, where it was almost comical, but it wasn't necessarily trying to be. There actually isn't a question for contour, so I'm going to just do this really quick. I'm using the Rare Beauty contour stick. This is in the shade Always Sunny. These are one of my favorites. They just blend out so easily. I do not have a snatched jawline or cheekbones, so I gotta make mine. Blush. This one is Name a Cringe-worthy Romance. And I'm using the Rare Beauty liquid blush in the shade Worth. This one is so pretty. I have read a lot of books with cringe-worthy romance, but the one that I want to say, I think Magnolia Parks, because although I do really like that book, you have to admit that whole romance relationship is cringe. Especially BJ, just BJ in general. Cringe. I cannot stand that man. Next is powder. I'm using the Hourglass Translucent Powder. This one is favorite last book in a series, and since I haven't read many series, I'm just gonna go with the last book that I read, which is actually Love Holly by Erin Stone, and I will have a reading vlog with that video coming up. I don't know if it'll be before or after this video, but that book was everything. I really didn't have high hopes for it, honestly, because one of the books that I read by Erin Stone, I don't even know if that's her name actually, Emily Stone, I'm sorry girl. I read One Last Gift last year by her and I didn't love it. It was fine, it was whatever. This one I loved and I need you guys to read it immediately. It was heartwarming and heartbreaking all at once, and the romance intertwined with the story was so good. Highlight is a book that brightens your day. The first one that comes to mind for me is Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. That book does cover heavier topics, but it does so very lightly, very gently, and I just felt like that one is such a warm hug. I really loved that book. I love a healthy dose of blush. Blush is like that first layer of makeup that fades the quickest, so I do always put on a little bit extra. Major foundation lips right now. I'm gonna zoom you guys in. Up close and personal. Nobody really needs to be this close to me. This one is a book with a crazy twist. I read a lot of thrillers. I feel like so many of them have wild plot twists, but the main one that comes to mind is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. That book had so many wild twists and turns. He is a really good one about keeping you on your toes. My eyebrows are distant cousins at best today. Honestly, my least favorite step in doing my makeup, because mine are always wonky. They just grow out so differently from one another. Their shapes are so different. Eyeshadow is a book with my favorite colors or my favorite covers. Obviously, Cleopatra and Frankenstein. That is one of my favorite covers and I love the colors on it. I also really like the Stone Cold Fox cover. That green shade is amazing, and same thing with Under the Influence. I think both just look so pretty on my bookshelf. Covers I really dislike are the ones with like real people on them. They just look so off-putting. So I just feel like it kind of skews how you imagine the character. If the cover doesn't really fit with what I made up in my head, I hate that. This palette is so beautiful. It's like soft cushion. And the inside is so pretty. I love like these shimmer shades on top. I've been using the pink shade almost every day and I like to spritz my brush so it's a little bit more vibrant. So pretty. Moving on to eyeliner. This one is Pick a Dark and Mysterious Read. For this one, I instantly thought of When I'm Dead. It has like a very dark air to the entire book. The town that it takes place in is a very like dead-end town. Nothing good comes from this place. This book was pretty interesting because it's a dual point of view and each chapter is back and forth between the two parents of a missing girl. The dad is actually a cop and the mom works on the scene of the crime. I can't remember her exact title, but something mortuary vibes. It was a really good book for October though, because it has like that dark spooky vibe to it. It's a little bit of like a murder mystery or like a whodunit. Mascara is Pick a Long Book, and you know what, I really do not love a long book. I'm like a 350 and under kind of girly. The last book that I read that was like 400 something pages was The Burnout by Sophie Kinsella. It just really did not need to be that long. I just feel like most books don't need to be that long. Okay, I'm gonna pop on some fake eyelashes and I'll be right back. And we're back. I'm feeling alive. I used one of the top lashes from this little kit from Kiss Lashes. I used the style Velvet, but I cut off like a little bit of the end there because they were really dramatic. They're still nice and fluffy. I feel like lashes always just tie in the look. On to our last question for lipstick. This one is favorite book Kiss, and I'm first gonna line my lips with the Morphe Soulmate lip liner. This is in the shade Honey, but listen, I read a lot of romance. It's one of my all-time favorite genres, so there are a lot of really good book kisses. I think my favorite, just because it's my favorite book couple, is January and Gus in Beach Read. Those two are my forever favorites. Honestly, I would not mind a little sequel to their love story. Alrighty guys, that wraps up all of the questions for the makeup book tag. I hope that you enjoyed this one. I actually had a lot of fun filming this one and it was a nice little change up from the usual. So let me know if you guys like this. Maybe we can do more get ready with me style videos in the new year. But that is all I have for you today. I will see you guys again tomorrow for the next episode of Bookmas. Thank you for watching. Bye!